think liminal spaces are extremely cozy. They're basically pictures that look like they were designed to be forgotten. And especially the photographs, they probably were, in all honesty. A lot of these hallways and highways and just empty, abandoned places that we see in these photos were not really meant to be looked at intently. They're kind of just designed to be things to pass through and forget about. But when we actually look at them, it seems like we've opened up an entire new world, and we ourselves are changed by the fact that we are able to now look at such mundane and seemingly uninteresting places in an entirely new light. We can see the beauty in an empty street at night. There's not anything going on here, and an empty bathroom, and it's just a computer from the early 2000s. And these places, these pictures, because they're so empty, it can also be a bit of a shock to us. For me, when I started learning that people were fascinated by just mundane, empty locations, I was a little bit surprised, but I myself have gone on some walks at night in cities and just kind of strolled around and observed without listening to music, without really any particular purpose or end goal in mind, just kind of looking as I walked past houses and libraries and buildings, and they all just looked different because I was no longer seeing them for just their utility. I was kind of just seeing them as structures. And of course, there's a very big difference between your average post office and some great, magnificent architectural masterpiece. And I think by no means we should try to make ugly and sort of brutalist buildings that are only used for function, but if you live in North America, chances are a lot of your life is going to be spent in these kind of drab, depressing buildings, or maybe not so depressing. As liminal spaces can help, or have helped me realize, is, we may not think that, the average thing around us is super beautiful, just a library or something like that. Maybe it's not, crafted with beautiful architecture. Maybe it's all just right angles and all that kind of stuff, but we can still see beauty in that, because truthfully, there is beauty in everything if we're willing to look at it that way. There is always a connection to God, even in the most mundane and boring places. That said, of course, I want to bring back the point. We should not strive for mediocrity. But there's also kind of just an acceptance of the world that we live in, because, the forces of the cosmos and the forces guiding the cosmos have led us to this moment, this time, this place, in which we are looking at something which itself has been constructed and forgotten and is now empty. And it's okay, even if it's not a super beautiful thing, we can just look around us and see, this is just an empty house. This is just how things look at night with no people around. Just an empty hallway. Nothing special about it. And it can also help us realize in our day-to-day life, maybe we're not that different from this empty shopping cart, or different from this empty, flooded subway system. We ourselves are from the perspective of other people, and a lot of the world around us, we're not that important, which can be actually really quite freeing. It can remind us to be humble, and that we ourselves one day will also be in disrepair, and much like many of these pictures, be forgotten about. Empty. You know? And considering how much of the modern world is obsessed with trying to build up the ego and, build up all this pride and sense of self-worth and self-love, maybe it's a lot healthier for us to just realize that we're kind of like ghosts passing through these liminal spaces, and we're always changing, much like a lot of the spaces we see have changed. They've gone from potentially bustling malls to empty and deserted locations. And it's beautiful. We ourselves, as humans, are always in a state of change, and it can be very helpful to see that in the world around us, just to be reminded that the way things are today, our joys and our sorrows will eventually come to pass. So, thank you, liminal spaces. I've always enjoyed, and I hope to explore the mysteries of this phenomena farther in the future.